Hello everybody, we are going to be taking a look at Far Cry Primal today. New game from Ubisoft in the Far Cry series. Hopefully everybody is looking forward to checking this game out. It's out today. They're giving you a quick breakdown of all of the gameplay elements, everything that's added to the game, what's new for this particular game, all that fun stuff. Let's jump in. Alright, so as you can see, I'm about 14 hours into the game. I think that's a little over, or under. So from that brief intro, you can see that Far Cry Primal puts you in control of a man named Takar. He is our protagonist. It is set in 10,000 BC, so as the name implies, primitive times. You have access to weapons that are very much handcrafted stuff, clubs, spears, things like that. So let's take a look. So I've done a good deal of upgrading, so you'll see some of the upgraded versions of the weapons that I do have. That includes a two-handed club, or I can switch to a regular club, longbow, regular bow, and then a bow and arrow that shoots 2 arrows. I have a spear, which is a basic spear. And then what's unique about each of these weapons is, so for the club, for example, let's just go outside. So for the club, no, I cannot attack. We'll get there. Let's just talk about this first area here. So this is your kind of home base. A lot of Far Cry is based on building up a tribe. You are a member of a tribe called the Wenja. You are, you assume you are the last member, but eventually you find other people, you recruit them, and then this little outcropping is populated by different people. You have different quest givers, people who unlock different abilities, different characters, and you can help them upgrade their bases. So like this hut you see right here actually started off pretty primitive, and then I helped upgrade it at this stone. There's about, in total, let's see, what is that, 8 people who will help you upgrade your different abilities. They'll give you some experience, they'll do all kinds of cool stuff, and you will be able to interact with them. They'll give you quests and all that stuff. So upgrading your huts is one of the dynamics of the game that's unique to Far Cry Primal. It also puts a lot more emphasis on the crafting, because the crafting in the game is a lot bigger or more involved. You're finding resources like you are in past Far Cry games. You know, you're doing plant foraging, stones, stuff like that, animal skins, and then you're putting stuff together. So like this club I have, it's a far more advanced version of the club that you start out with. So here's kind of its current stats. It's fully upgraded, but as you go, what you're essentially doing is taking each item, bow, club, spear, starting off with a basic version. You're using a combination of stones, animal hides to make them better, more advanced, do more damage, so on and so forth. And then you can pick up things like a spear belt and a pack, and you can carry different resources along with you. In addition to the crafting mechanic, you also have very extensive skill tree. So as you can see, I've done quite a bit of upgrading. I've been focusing mostly on grinding out the upgrades, just to kind of like avoid the main story stuff. Just as an FYI, I won't cover any spoiler stuff in the game. You won't see anything from the story, because I do think that there's not a lot to the story, so it's better to go in fresh if this does interest you. But upgrades are pretty similar to anybody who's played Far Cry. In certain respects, you know, you have health and healing, you have picking up resources and double resources, finding the resources on your map, and then in addition to that, you have this whole Beastmaster thing, which we'll get into in a bit. But that's kind of another key component to Far Cry Primal, is you are able to tame animals, specific animals, and use them as little companions. It adds a new wrinkle to combat in addition to some other things. So really what you're looking at in Far Cry is more melee focused combat, with an addition of a beast. So let's pull up our beast menu. So the beast menu shows every beast that I have tamed thus far. The faded ones are ones I have yet to tame, and the ones with red skulls mean they died at some point while I was playing. They all have different stats, so some are faster, some are better at sneaking around, some are stronger, and that'll all come into play in how they interact with enemies. You can also use the animals to hunt other animals. So instead of chasing down the chasing down the deer you see with your melee weapon, you can send out your bear and he'll chase that animal down and he'll kill it for you, and then you have to still go skin it, but you have an animal. So let's bring up our saber-toothed tiger. He's kind of a personal favorite of mine. So here he is. I have named him Reginald. He's my buddy. We hang out. He has his own health meter. If that health meter depletes, I can heal him by feeding him meat, but that also means that he is has a chance to die, and if he dies, when you go into the menu, the red skull appears, and then you have to use, if you can see, the red leaf is one of the resources to revive a dead animal. In my mini-map on the left, you'll see some sticks, so those are the resources. I have hunter vision, similar to Batman, if you will, where I can see different things highlighted in the map, including my own animal, other animals, enemies, friendlies, stuff to collect, all that stuff. So putting it all together, you have a handful of melee weapons to work with, which you can also throw. You can also craft additional weapons, so I just threw a spear and lost one. I craft another one, got it. You use your beast. All that stuff is should be pretty familiar to anybody who has played Far Cry before. The only difference being that the gun element, the focusing on, you know, keeping people at range is a little less. You can still do that with your bow and throwing your weapons, but you'll get more up in people's faces than you would otherwise. Let's take a look at the map now. So as you can see, you'll see your fast travel points, different side quests. These all have different difficulties, different upgrades associated. Some are just pure XP, some are skill point. Some are also dependent on if you're stealthy or not. So if you're stealthy, you get more experience. You have regular quests scattered across the map. You also have kind of two distinct areas, really. You have a more natural environment that looks a little bit more faded in this area, more like fall, if you will, and then you have this top snowy area, which we'll visit both. You can take a look at the environments because they do look really nice. If you can wait, the PC version comes out on March 1st. I think that'll probably be the best looking version. That isn't to say the PS version looks terrible, but it does have some frame rate drops. It doesn't run at a consistent 30, let alone 60 at all. Far Cry 4, if you guys remember, those who played it, is focused on outposts, and then there were those towers. So the outposts have returned for Far Cry Primal, and instead of the towers, you have bonfires. The bonfires also unlock a fast travel point, and they include a few enemies. They're a lot more basic. They don't involve the platforming of past Far Cries. You just approach them. So let's see. So there's like an animal. I can target him, and then I can tell my animal to go which is in this case the saber-toothed tiger. He'll go out, hunt him down, try and get him. Sometimes they're not successful. In most cases they are. It depends on the speed of your animal. My saber-toothed tiger is pretty fast, so he gave up. Of course he did. Reginald, you have let me down. So that's kind of the basics of the combat and the gameplay in Far Cry. We'll obviously get into more of that shortly. I just kind of want to show picking up the animal hides real quick. So see, Reginald's doing his thing. I don't know why he's not attacking the one I told him to though, because whatever. There you go. Then you skin it, get some resources, which include the skin. You usually get some animal fat, and then you get some hide. So animal fat, something I didn't cover, you can use animal fat basically to set any weapon on fire. So now I have fire arrows. I can set the surrounding brush on fire. I can take my club. I can set my club on fire. There are caves, so you can use the fire as a source of light. All that fun stuff. It's actually, there's a lot to it than just the basic melee combat and bow and arrow combat, but it's also pretty straightforward once you get involved in it. So I saved this outpost. So we're gonna take this outpost, fast travel over here, and we're going to take on this outpost, and you'll get a sense for the combat. It should look pretty familiar, save for a few key differences. So one of the things I didn't tell you guys about that's actually pretty sweet is certain animals you can ride. So there aren't cars in the game. Oh, this is going to probably hurt us. Yep. You can't... There are no cars, but you can ride animals, which is pretty awesome. Maybe we'll catch a enemy out in the open, because you can attack. He'll kill them, so you can do your melee attacks from whatever animal you're riding. There aren't too many you can ride, so in the skill tree you can recruit a bunch of wolves and little like dog creatures and leopards, jaguars, whatnot. But then you can get bears and saber-toothed tigers, and you can ride them. So that is what we're doing, riding the animals. So we're gonna pull up on this outpost. We are now in more of the snowy area, which has its own dynamic, also similar to Far Cry 4. The Nepalese mountains, if you will. Since we don't have binoculars and we don't have a sniper rifle scope, how you kind of do you can still do the aim down sights and it'll outline things, but you also get an eagle, or an owl I should say, and the owl does a lot of your reconnaissance of outposts. So he'll highlight all the enemies that are around. You can do the hunter vision with him. They call it beast vision, obviously, and you can kind of plan how you're going to approach things, and you can also straight up attack. So your eagle or your owl is your best friend in a lot of ways. From this position, you can also attack. You can basically do anything that you would do in a regular Far Cry, except you have the added bonus of your animal. So I can send out my homie. He'll go attack that guy, and then that'll put them on alert. So it's something that you want to not use too much, but it is helpful. Let's take this guy out. What? So there's your kills. You should get experience for every kill. I don't know why I'm not. And then you can kind of be careful about how you attack. There's a meter that you know, indicates if you've been seen, so on and so forth. Fun times. Oh, he caught him on fire. That's rude. Let's call out our eagle. So we're kind of doing this stealthy for a second. Let's get this guy. There are elites, there are different tiers of enemies. Ta-da, medium outpost, done. Pretty basic. And then you get a fast travel point. In addition to that, you have a what's called a reward stash, and the reward stash will tell you or will offer you increased resources every day. So every full day / night cycle that goes through, you get different items in your resource stash, and you can pull from that to get more crafting materials, do all that fun stuff. Ta-da! So here is your reward stash, I guess. And you can grab from there, and it'll give you different things that you need: healing items, crafting materials, skins, so on and so forth. There is also a bed, so if you do want to rest until daytime, if you prefer the daytime, more visibility, you can do that. Or if you like attacking outposts at night, both viable options. Yeah, so this should be pretty familiar to anybody that's played a Far Cry game before. It's not going to blow anybody away. It's not going to change their mind about the game, but it is unique in the combat. We're gonna see if we can slide down this mountain. Ooh, I think we should be fine. So now I'll do a little more melee focused attack on this random event. So what's unique about these random events now is that your village has a population. So as you can see, I have 211 tribespeople in my population. And by completing those random events, instead of just getting experience, you're also recruiting new tribespeople. And you can get different rewards. So you start out 20, 60, or 20, 40, 60 give you different resources. And then for every 10, you get bonus XP. So it's worth doing those more than in past games. So let's see. So here's an enemy. Go up to him, and I can headshot. So that's one of the cool things, is that you can use the melee weapons to headshot enemies. You don't have to sacrifice any of the precision of a bow. You can still get that extra experience, which I think is a really nice and important touch, because a lot of people want to get that experience. Okay, so woolly mammoth, there's 2 of them. I think we might as well hunt one, because why not? I'm gonna heal up first. And then... oh, I missed. Headshot. Oh, his buddy's pissed though. His buddy's pissed. His buddy's pissed. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Headshot. Got him. So as you can see, took out my saber-tooth tiger. A little bit of meat. Right as rain. And then I can pick up mammoth skins, which are their own crafting material. You also probably get a ton of meat, animal fat, whatnot. So the healing mechanic is, it involves multiple layers. So you have your basic heal, which is your primitive heal, which has been in every Far Cry and is free. So the heal that I just did, where I cracked my fingers, it can include pulling arrows out of my arm. It's probably something you've seen in past Far Cry games. But then you have other healing items that require actual resources. This one, first one requires meat, heals 2 health bars. This third one heals 3 health bars and adds a green leaf. This one heals my full health if I had the full 6 bars, but it requires 2 green leaves. And then you also have different little craftable foods that do different things, like make you faster, make you camouflage from animals for hunting, and fire damage, so on and so forth. So basically similar to there should be enemies over here. Yeah, there are. So similar to, actually let's use, so we have a a little bomb. That's a bunch of bees. That's pretty neat, right? So you can use the those items to heal yourself, and then you have a bunch of just different weapons at your disposal. You can do you can approach combat from any different way. You can be sneaky, you can just run up and hit people with your club. There are takedowns. Hopefully I'll get one here. Here we go. Chain takedowns as well. Super violent, all the good stuff of a Far Cry game. It's really, if you enjoy Far Cry, you'll probably see a lot of familiar things. So the last thing I want to do is take out a bonfire, just to give you guys a sense of that. So this one says very hard, so we're going to attempt it. Add a little bit more challenge, and then we'll end it there. It's the bonfires are a little more straightforward. They don't require as much reconnaissance. They don't have nearly as many enemies. But since this one is very hard, it means that there'll likely be elite level enemies which you can't headshot right off the bat. You know, you probably saw like the big burly guys in past Far Cry games. They're the equivalent of that. They have skull bone helmets on. They have increased armor. You can't just attack them. Actually, you know what we can do? That might be kind of fun, is we could... Right, so you can straight up ride a woolly mammoth, even though you can't tame woolly mammoths, you can ride them. And that really never gets old. So we're gonna keep on rolling with our woolly mammoth friend. Kill those guys. No trouble. Venture over here. So there are a lot of basics to the game, a lot of things that are essential for any Far Cry game that you'll see here. Tons of collectibles, all that fun stuff. You'll see if you zoom in, you have these little hand things. Let's see, so these are called Dacia hands. There are a bunch of those. There's little things you shoot off the walls. There's totems. Tons of things to do, but like I said, the story missions are pretty thin so far, so I didn't really want to spoil that. Keep it focused on the gameplay for now. But I'll approach this bonfire in a different way. I think I'll be more aggressive since I was a little more tactical with the outpost. Granted, that was a medium outpost, so it was pretty easy on its own. So there you see that's the bonfire. You want to get that on fire, but you must eliminate the enemies soon. So we'll post up here, send out our owl, do a little bit of recruiting. So all yellow enemies, which mean they have some form of armor. I am upgraded to the point where I can take them out with what I have. My bow will pierce some of their little helmets. You can see he's got like a little skull mask. So I say, so if I can get close enough, I can do a takedown. Might be able to take down at least. I want to get that armored guy out first. So I'm gonna run. I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna throw. I have like a throwing knife thing. I'm gonna get the guy with the horn so he can't alert, and then we'll go from there. Oh, oh, I missed him. That's bad. Okay. So this is one of the more armored guys. It'll take a lot more hits. Let's switch to our two-handed club, get some real kind of beefy hits in. There we go. Got him. And then we light our club on fire. We light the bonfire. Ta-da! And that's the basics of Far Cry Primal in a nutshell. Nothing too outside of the world of Far Cry. Nothing you won't feel familiar, even if it looks a little different, plays slightly different. It's still a Far Cry game at heart. Let's heal up our buddy before we say goodbye. Oh, I did not want to ride. I have done that numerous times. Let's heal him up. Let's heal him up. Heal. Nope, we're not going to heal him. Forget him. Yeah, that's Far Cry. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this first look. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below this video. Hit us up on YouTube in general. Subscribe to the channel. Visit GameRant.com. All of that fun stuff. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. This is just the first. This is the beginning. Lots of video content coming from Game Rant soon. Like and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. And I've been Anthony Taormina, Editor-in-Chief of Game Rant. I say hi. I love you. Goodbye.